For our next story, let's take a quick look at history. The year was 2002. Attack helicopters were hovering over Jenin. It's a city located in the West Bank. On the ground, a fierce battle was unfolding. Israeli soldiers battled Palestinian militants. Citizens were caught in the gunfire. When the smoke cleared, more than 50 people were dead. It was called the Battle of Jenin. It was Israel's biggest operation in the West Bank during the Second Intifada, or the Second Uprising. 2 decades later, it's an eerie déjà vu for Jenin. Drones are striking the city's refugee camp. The streets are empty but filled with smoke. The noise of gunfire echoes through the night. On one side, there are Israeli soldiers. On the other, Palestinian militants. And caught in the middle, again, are ordinary residents.
There were strikes and bombs. It was like World War III, not even like the First World War, a Third World War. They are attacking unarmed people. They are using planes and rockets.
I came yesterday evening to take my sister to my home, but we were stuck. The military vehicles and bulldozers entered the area. This is a criminal enemy.
10 people have been killed, hundreds are injured, many are fleeing the camps. The residents of Jenin are calling it a black day, an attack by the so-called occupation. Israel, on the other hand, defends this as a military operation. It says the Jenin camp was a hub of terrorists.
There's a direct line between Islamic Jihad activity and Iran, funding capabilities, etc., etc. Talking about how long this will last, it could take hours, and it could also take days. We're not here to conquer or hold the ground. When it's finished, we'll be out of there.
The operation started on Monday morning. This was when Israel hit an apartment in this refugee camp. Then came the troops. The IDF, or the Israeli forces, even released a few pictures of the raid, including this one of an underground shaft. They say it was used to store explosive devices. Israel has long maintained that this refugee camp was a hub of militant groups, the likes of Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade.
The IDF launched a comprehensive action against terrorist strongholds in Jenin. In recent months, Jenin has become a safe haven for terrorists. From that safe haven, terrorists perpetrated savage attacks, murdering Israeli civilians. As I speak, our troops are battling the terrorists with unyielding resolve and fortitude, while doing everything to avoid civilian casualties.
Palestine, on the other hand, calls this a ruse, an attack on defenseless citizens. It called on other nations for help and protection.
We are again calling the international world to provide urgent international protection to our people and impose penalties against the occupation regime.
The Arab world has responded to this cry. Jordan, for one, slammed the Israeli aggression. So did Egypt, Turkey and Iran. The US has pleaded for closer cooperation. The United Nations has called for calm, but Israel is defending its actions. What explains this sudden attack on a refugee camp? The city has been a focal point of conflict. There have been raids in the past too, but they were never this violent. So many are calling it a distraction tactic. They say it's Prime Minister Netanyahu's way to make the world forget about protests at home. You see, Israel has been protesting over judicial reforms that he wants to bring in. And these are the biggest protests that the Jewish state has seen ever. These protests have entered their 26th week, but Israelis are not backing down. So are the Jenin raids just a distraction tactic? Prime Minister Netanyahu has been accused of this before, though, of using violence as a distraction. But where does this lead to? Are Israel and Palestine on the brink of another war? And this too has happened in the past multiple times, mostly in Gaza. But now it's playing out in Jenin. The city is part of the West Bank. It is controlled by the Palestinian Authority, or PA. They have administrative and security controls over this region. But it looks like the PA has lost control of the Jenin camp and of the situation. There's large-scale violence. It could lead to more conflicts, more militant groups, or more calls for a two-state solution. It's hard to say how this will end. Israel says the operation is almost over. It's only when the dust settles that the world will see the real impact of this raid.